I've got a little bit of a personal story to share with you all from my early teen years. When I was about 11 or 12 and just stepping into year 7 at school, back in those days, I was quite the chatterbox, innocent and starry-eyed. My adventures often led me to the school library, a place where I could immerse myself in the magic of books. It was during one of these quiet escapes that our paths crossed for the first time. He was a bit older, around 15 or 16, and already in year 10 or 11. An imposing figure, tall and a little bit clumsy in his mannerisms. I can't quite remember the details of our initial conversations. After all, that was a decade ago, and our talks were never particularly memorable. In the days that followed, however, his presence around school became increasingly noticeable. An initially harmless interaction began to acquire a sinister edge, as I caught him throwing furtive glances my way, shadowing me during breaks and school hours. Now, there used to be this youth club at our local community center, a chilled-out spot where my friends and I would gather every Saturday. Table tennis tournaments, an overdose of sweets, battles on Pokemon Pearl, and an endless chatter made up these jovial evenings. One day, he appeared there too, not to interact, but just watch. He lurked around, hiding behind corners, eavesdropping on our conversations. His unwelcome surveillance continued throughout the evening, and it started to creep me out, to the point where I feared going to the restroom alone. My friends also picked up on this weird vibe, oscillating between finding it creepy and humorous. Despite the club organizers once asking him to leave, presumably for his unsettling behavior, there was not much they could do since he was a paying attendee. As days turned into weeks, my anxiety escalated. His silent, constant observation began taking a toll on me. I opened up to my family about this, but they simply brushed it off, finding it funny rather than concerning. Finally, I decided it was time to take matters into my own hands. I hatched a plan involving a dare from my friend to show up at the club with my lips painted jet black using an eyeliner. I strolled in, looking like a cross between the Joker and someone who had binged on black licorice. The look on my stalker's face was priceless. He approached me, accompanied by a friend he had made during his unsettling surveillance of me. For the next 5 minutes, they poked fun at my eccentric appearance. And at the end of it, he admitted that he didn't find me appealing anymore. This marked our first proper conversation in months. After this incident, his eerie appearances ceased. I continued with the black lipstick look for several years after that. I'm going to be sharing a terrifying tale from my high school days that's bound to give you the creeps. My biggest mistake in high school was daring to enroll in an AP physics class alongside seniors, despite being just a sophomore at the time. On the very first day, my teacher placed me beside the only person close to my age, a freshman named Josh. Josh was a strange character. He sported a crudely shaved head, his eyes were void of any light, and he had an odd habit of munching warm Skittles during class. Despite his petite stature, he radiated an unsettling, menacing vibe. Our teacher insisted we exchange phone numbers and encouraged us to strike up a conversation. For some inexplicable reason, every fiber in my body resisted the idea. It wasn't me trying to be standoffish, it's just that his presence intimidated me. The best way I can describe it is like being near a famished dog while you're holding a piece of chicken. There's this constant anticipation that the dog might pounce any second. Imagine my apprehension when he gained access to my name and number. There was something about him that made me extremely uncomfortable. A week passed without any communication from him, and I was relieved. I convinced myself that I had been unnecessarily judgmental and that he was just an introverted kid. It was about 3 weeks into the course when he finally broke the silence. He started a conversation about my F-150 truck, sharing that he had an interest in cars. As he texted me more often, sharing tidbits about himself and inquiring about my life, he appeared harmless. But deep down, I had this nagging feeling that I should be careful not to share too much. This pattern continued for about a month until one night, I came home from my restaurant job to find a series of concerning texts from Josh. Messages expressing his love for me, his desire to take me to homecoming, and to be his girlfriend. They felt more like demands than requests. It was uncomfortable, and I promptly friend-zoned him. His response to my polite refusal was no, a reply that left me feeling quite uneasy about facing him in school the next day. His predatory texts continued, and so did his eerie gaze in class. The day I noticed him watching me drive away from school, I decided to ask a male friend to accompany me for safety. When Josh's messages escalated him to threatening self-harm if I didn't love him back, I involved the school dean. But she was of little help, attributing his behavior to special needs status. I turned to my family for support, and my dad and his brothers offered to keep an eye on me. Meanwhile, the unwanted texts stopped after I blocked Josh's number, only for things to take a more sinister turn. Our outdoor cameras started picking up a figure eerily similar to Josh knocking on our windows and snooping around my car at night. Josh then started to call my workplace and even started visiting the restaurant, leaving notes professing his love for me and criticizing my new boyfriend. Despite everything, I continued to pretend he wasn't there and even went as far as driving my tall friend home from school. The situation made me feel so unsafe that I was considering skipping out on prom and leading a hermit-like existence. Eventually, we took out a restraining order against Josh, which thankfully brought an end to the year-long nightmare. The next time I saw Josh was during my senior year. Just like before, he watched me with that unnerving stare, and I couldn't help but feel his presence during my graduation ceremony. It was frustrating that due to certain laws, his special needs status meant that he never faced any significant consequences for his actions. Today, I'm in a happier place dating a wonderful guy, so to Josh from AP Physics, let's make sure our paths never cross again. This experience is something I don't wish upon anyone, and it all started with my childhood, where moving was a regular occurrence. By the time I started my freshman year in high school, I had relocated around 7 times. Let's rewind a bit. So there I was, a year and a half into my latest move, and comfortably settled with a close-knit group of friends from middle school. As we transitioned into high school together, we made a new addition to our circle, Sam. Now Sam was a member of the school band with one of my friends. He was nearly 4 years older than us, and his tall, hefty stature was intimidating, to say the least. Though I have never feared big guys before, this experience would soon teach me a lesson. Growing up, my home environment was quite unsettling, pushing me to spend as much time as possible at school, sometimes staying back until 6 or 7 in the evening. On one slightly chillier evening, when everyone else had gone home, Sam offered to walk me home. He shared a traumatic experience from his past move in California where he failed to accompany a friend home, resulting in a disastrous incident. And so, I let him walk me home. Our bond deepened after this incident as we reminisced over our time spent in California. Late night conversations became common where Sam confided in me about his struggle with depression and self-harm. I had a nurturing instinct and wanted to help him. Then, a few months later, Sam made a big romantic gesture, playing a Disney song on his ukulele, and he asked me out. But I was already in a relationship and had to turn him down, causing him to exhibit a twitchy, quiet kind of anger that left me guilt-ridden. Suddenly, I began to notice Sam everywhere. He was following me around, changing directions to match my path, shadowing me from a distance during class transitions, and even hanging out near my house. His presence became oppressive, causing me to reduce group interactions. I even arranged for friends to accompany me from one class to the other due to the growing sense of insecurity. Sam knew where I lived. Then came the creepy stories. He began sharing stories with mutual friends about a girl named Sarah from California who he claimed was a friend. As he shared more, Sarah started to sound like me, same name, same curly brown hair, and blue eyes. Then she had the same birthday as mine, January 24th. His stories evolved into gruesome narratives of her being attacked during a robbery gone wrong and dying in his arms. When these stories took a turn to him, claiming to have killed a man who attacked and murdered Sarah, the fear inside me multiplied. I was scared for my life. I clung to my abusive boyfriend who, despite his flaws, I knew could protect me physically. I was no longer safe at school or while walking home in the dark. One day, Sam suffered a breakdown at school and I was sent to console him. That's when he narrated the horrifying story I had heard from others with even more chilling details. He confessed to committing murder, an admission that shocked and terrified me. Driven by fear, I approached our school counselor with a few friends and shared everything: the stalking, the made-up stories, his confession to murder, and my growing fears. However, the counselor dismissed us and downplayed the severity of the situation. Having been gaslighted by the very adults who should have provided me with protection, I felt alone and scared. My trust in authority figures was shattered. My friends and my abusive boyfriend became my only shield from Sam. My journal entries from that time stand testimony to my growing panic and fear. Fast forward to today, I realized that no one might have actually died in California, but the emotional scarring and the real threat that Sam posed were too real. What's up guys, it's Dougie Flesh. Make sure to subscribe if you guys want to watch more of these type of videos. I'm dropping them out every day. Also, please comment any criticism or if you have any suggestions for the next video, just let me know. Thank you guys, I'll see you in the next one.